to the 23rd annual exhibit of hydrogen and fuel cell technologies. We're going to take you on a trip. We're going to be going to one of the most attractive regions in the United States, certainly one of my favorite regions. I've been there twice, to see what's happening in the fuel cell industry, specifically in this area, and why it's important to know about this area, because there's a lot of things happening there. I'll be talking to Beatriz Gutierrez, who is from the Business Development, from the Department of Economic and Community Development in Connecticut. Next to her, I'll be talking to Aaron Aresta, who is from the Center for Advanced Technology in Connecticut. And last but not least, I'll be talking to Aaron Knight, who is also from the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Well, this is not the first time we've met, of course, but let's start with the general question here. Were I a fuel cell or a fuel cell manufacturer, why should I be thinking about locating myself in Connecticut?
Well, Connecticut is a wonderful state to start a business and to really start a position in North America. We have a very, very strong commitment to this industry. We've been pioneers in the industry for a long time. And both from a technical perspective and from a fiscal perspective and policy perspective, there is a huge investment in the area. Some of the things that make Connecticut a really good place to start is great educated labor, contingent labor force. We also have ranked among top 5 in productivity in this industry and others. Also a lot of patents. Connecticut ranks 3rd in patents in fuel cell for the nation. So we have, excellent institutions of education, great quality of life, and an environment that is very geared to this type of industry. A lot of commitment to technical development, great OEMs, and a great supply chain. So it makes it a really good place. Another thing that makes it a top location is actually the location of Connecticut. So if you're familiar with Connecticut, we're in the northeast of the United States, in the middle between Boston and New York, from the capital of Connecticut, Hartford, 2 hours to Boston, 2 hours to New York. So if you're in this area of the world, it's a great place to start. Time zones work. We're only 6 hours difference. And from Connecticut, you can cover basically 1/3 of the markets of the United States or 2/3 of the markets of Canada within 1 day. So, thinking that the United States, it's so vast, it allows you to really grow your company, start a position, and cover a lot of environment really quickly, which obviously lowers your cost of operation, particularly as a small company or a company starting there. The other thing that is very important for us is we are actually the place where we have the first green bank in the United States. And this is very important because this green bank allows to bring both private and public capital in support of this industry. So it has helped finance proof of concept projects and is also committed now to funding actual execution projects in the industry. So, location is important, labor is important, commitment to the industry, both from technical, from academic, and from government. And then these financing capabilities make the state a very interesting place to start.
So you're offering opportunities for people who are starting up, but there's also a number of things already operating right now. You've got manufacturers on site already. The companies are there. What are they up to in Connecticut, Paul?
Well, Connecticut has, as you mentioned, a strong presence of companies that are in the hydrogen and fuel cell industry. We have Fuel Cell Energy, which makes molten carbonate fuel cells for stationary applications, as well as Doosan Fuel Cell America. We have some exciting companies that are making fuel cells for different applications, like U.S. Fuel Cell are making fuel cells for transportation, buses, other mobile applications. One of our companies, Infinity Fuel Cell and Hydrogen, is making fuel cells for unmanned vehicles, aerospace applications. We also have a number of companies that are in the hydrogen space as well. Proton Onsite, who's exhibiting here at the show, makes electrolyzers and is in developing hydrogen infrastructure to support the transportation industry.
Mm-hmm. So really a broad spectrum here. People rank a lot. There's rankings for everything, and among those rankings, Connecticut ranks very high like third place among the states in the United States for fuel cell engagement. So what has made Connecticut an industry leader in this field in the United States? Are there historical reasons? Are there contemporary reasons?
Actually, yes. It's largely historical reasons, and then leading up through the advancement of the technology, research and development, the companies that we currently have. So that ranking, the third best state in the U.S. for fuel cells comes from the U.S. Department of Energy. And historically, it comes from the 50s and 60s that fuel cell technology was developed by UTC for NASA space missions, and then as that technology advanced, those people who were working on those applications, spun that technology off into other businesses and companies. So to continue furthering the advancement of the technology. So those companies have actually worked together to kind of continually educate the population, educate our legislature on the current advancements that are making and the applications of their new technology, and those policies have led to continued support and development for stationary fuel cells, and then also for fuel cell electric vehicles. And actually, currently we have I believe it's 71 megawatts of stationary plants that are either in the works or already completed, and then we currently have 2 hydrogen fueling stations for fuel cell electric vehicles currently being built in the state as well. So we continually to make advancements, and we continue to push the industry forward in the state of Connecticut.
You mentioned large stationary applications, and we all know these are complicated pieces of technology. They involve a broad spectrum of partners and partnerships and intellectual specialists and so on. You have a concept of a regional cluster, Paul, which fascinated me as we were preparing for this talk. What exactly is a regional cluster, and how does that function within Connecticut and within your approach to fuel cell development?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, the Northeast is a hub for hydrogen and fuel cell activity, and the United States Small Business Administration supports this cluster, which is made up of approximately 30 original equipment manufacturers and well over 1,200 supply chain companies that support the OEMs and so forth. Those companies include Combined Energies, which are here exhibiting, as well as Precision Combustion, U.S. Fuel Cell, Novarox, Ginner. They're all part of this regional cluster that really has been made the development of hydrogen and fuel cell technology possible.
It seems to me there's various cycles that we go through in development. One season it's stationary applications, another season it's mobile applications or specific backup power units, whatever's got a potential market. But everyone is expecting at some point there's going to be a transportation infrastructure, there's going to be mobile applications for the general public, perhaps starting with buses. So you're involved in this, the transport infrastructure. Aaron, what exactly is happening in Connecticut in that large field of infrastructure for hydrogen transportation?
Well, like you said, we definitely have a history of stationary applications, but we know that the technology is moving forward where the mobile applications are going to definitely take in the forefront in the U.S. So Connecticut, working with our companies, working with our legislature, working with our policies, we're making sure that we're ready to position ourselves for the rollout of those vehicles when the time is right. And every year we see further and further advancements that it's working with the car manufacturers and understanding that the cars are ready, they're ready to hit the road, they're being test drove, they're outside on the track right now. We know that we need to be there to position ourselves to actually have the infrastructure, the hydrogen fueling infrastructure available in the state to be able to support those cars when they're ready to roll out. And specifically Connecticut being the highly educated workforce, highly educated population, we do have those types of early adopters that will be interested in using that technology and using the hydrogen fueling fuel cell electric vehicles in the state of Connecticut. So we want to support that with the infrastructure as well. So either working in partnerships, working with DECD, understanding that our companies need support, or that our companies are working with car manufacturers. We want to make sure that we're there to support everyone, and especially if we're able to identify areas for partnership. That's what we're currently working on.
Brian, can I just add something?
Sure, yeah.
Connecticut is also part of the DOE-supported H2USA initiative, which is partnership, as Aaron mentioned, of government and industry and other stakeholders involved in working together to develop the hydrogen infrastructure throughout the United States. And there happens to be a particular focus in the Northeast. Recently, Air Liquide began the construction of a serious network of hydrogen refueling infrastructure in the Northeast. There's also other players such as Proton Onsite and Ginner, Nuvera. They're all present in the Northeast, and they're all working towards this goal.
And that's supported by the roadmaps that you guys have, that you're currently actively working on, and the coalition is working together to document, to map, and actually identify locations where these fueling stations will be relevant and important to the further advancement of the technology.
Well, we have enough time to go into a few details here. I know your mission is basically to focus, coordinate, attract attention for the community that you work in, and for the options the state offers for this technology. Before we get to that grand mission, which is so important, could you perhaps give us an example of some of the success stories? What form of facilitation you've offered that has resulted in a practical project there?
So, thinking about Connecticut, and just for way of reference, Connecticut is a very small state, 3 million people. And for the United States, that's very, very small. So for us, it becomes very, very important to be very dynamic and very customer service. So when people say, well, why would I go to Connecticut and not to California, not to New York, not to Massachusetts? Part of it is because we're dedicated to helping companies come there. We spend a lot of time and a lot of effort on providing single point of contact for companies and really helping them find a presence in the state. So what does that mean? That means through our office, we will connect the company with resources in the state, find a location, work to the regulation, find permits, find a way to locate the company in Connecticut, visit customers. We actually will set up agendas of, we call it the concierge program, which is very similar to a concierge in a hotel. So we want the experience to be very, very, very easy. Part of what we're doing here is exactly that, providing information, but then offering resources. So let's take a company here that wants to explore an opportunity. Where do they start? They will contact us, and we will try to help them identify, for example, walk to the state, find partners, visit with CCAT, Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology, meet others in the industry. We will help them do research and try to identify potential customers and potential partners. We will connect them with universities. One of our top universities in this area is the University of Connecticut, a state university that holds one of the most important research centers in this industry. So we will have meetings there to explore technology partnerships and technology exploration. And then the company's ready. And they said, I'm kind of got a sense, what do I do next? Well, then we help them find a site, where do they want to be, and identify workforce. Because that's very, very important. We are a very competitive workforce, but coming into a new state, you want to be able to identify the best. Connecticut today, we have, in this industry, 12% of the workforce in this industry worldwide is in Connecticut. And I think that's a lot to say for a small state. If you think about it, 50% of the Northeast, the north part, east part of the United States that works on this is in Connecticut. So if you think about it, you begin thinking, okay, this is truly important. A third of the one in the United States of the people that work in this industry are in Connecticut. So we'll connect you with that. We'll connect you with labor. And then the other part of the work that we do is some companies need financial assistance. So some companies are looking for grants or they're looking for some level of financial help to set up their business. As I mentioned, we do have the Green Bank that works on projects in this area, but also through our office, we also offer financial incentives to help the company find a position. So now, how do those work? They're usually tied to capital investment in the state or job creation. Because if we're thinking about what business we're in, from a state perspective, is creating jobs and investment in the state. So we use our tools, loans, grants, and tax credits to help companies do that. Now, all those services that I mentioned earlier are free of charge. So that's, there's nothing lost by asking and trying to work. We work with, individual companies. An example, you asked me, one of the companies that just joined our state that has been very successful, Doosan. So Doosan from Korea has a big position in the state, and we work with them trying to really identify new opportunities for them in the state. And we have those relationships on an ongoing basis. So in this environment, a foreign company that has come to the state in this area 3 years ago, is Doosan from Korea. They acquire a piece that used to be part of UTC. So I will, since we have this opportunity, I will offer that we're here. We're in booth C36-1. We will be here all week. Aaron and I and Paul work for the state. Stop by. You don't have anything to lose by asking and trying to get an idea. And if you find yourself in the United States soon, just give us a call and we'll be happy to work with you and try to arrange a more, focused visit.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't top that note. I've been to Connecticut myself, and I know it's a lovely place to visit. But if you can't do that, go to the booth 36C.
C36.
In that direction, /1, which is German for /1. Okay. It's been a wonderful conversation. In reverse order, I've been talking to Aaron Knight and Beatriz Gutierrez. They are both from the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development. And in the middle, Paul Aresta, who is from the Center of Advanced Technology in Connecticut. Great place to be, great place to visit. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you
for
very
having
much.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you. Oops. We'll be back in a minute for our next talk. We're going to be talking about something really interesting, passenger trains running on hydrogen. So the guest up on stage is Dr. Bernd Pichak, and he's from Hydrogenics, and we're on a train. Have a drink. They're on the house. Back in a minute.